concept of arsh?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Could you please shed some light on the concept of arsh? What
Okay.
is arsh?
Arsh means throne, and we mean by arsh divine throne. One of the things that we have in the Quran and in Hadith is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has arsh. Ar-Rahmanu ala al-arsh istawa. Of course, as Allama Tabatabai says in Al-Mizan, many of these concepts, initially they are coined for physical meanings, but then they are extended to non-physical and immaterial meanings. For example, we say a scale, Mizan. Mizan is first to weigh, goods, but then we use Mizan for weighing actions and, intentions. Light is first used for physical light, but then we use it for light of God, light of Iman, and so on and so forth. Arsh is throne, which is like the bed or the chair that kings sit on. And sometimes it's very also important that whoever sits on this chair rules. 2-3 years ago, we visited Archbishop of Canterbury in Lambeth Palace in London. And he showed our group a special seat. And he said, if something happens that the country has no prime minister, and perhaps, there was a kind of line. The Archbishop of Canterbury sits on that chair and rules the country. Because the established church, it's a church which is officially accepted. So after few line, in the line of commandment, after few steps, it would be the role of the Archbishop of Canterbury. But it was interesting that there was a very historical chair, and when the Archbishop sits on that chair, rules the country. So this is the meaning of arsh. But for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, certainly we are not thinking of something physical, something which is made with wood or nails and things like that. It's an indication of Allah's authority, or the basis of Allah's authority. He is dominant over arsh, and we are all under the authority of Allah, which is symbolized in arsh. But it is interesting that according to some ulama, arsh of Allah stands for His knowledge. I have said this in some of the lectures before, that knowledge is very, very fundamental quality. And Allah's authority is certainly based on His knowledge. Maybe there are other factors, but certainly knowledge is one of them. And maybe the other factors go back to knowledge. Knowledge is such an important quality that without understanding significant knowledge, you can understand the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is and the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala runs the world. So, arsh of Allah is this. Then we have a hadith that arsh of Allah is something which has, like, 4 legs, and there are descriptions of that. Or for example, in the Quran we have angels who are carriers of arsh. الَّذِينَ يَحْمِلُونَ الْعَرْشَ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهُ. So we have in hadith, in Quran, references to arsh. But the minimum is to believe that this is not physical, this is immaterial, this is something that has to do with his power and authority, and this is something that is closely connected to his knowledge. I hope this would be helpful. Ahsantum.
We actually have another question now.
Yes,
please. Justice. And the question is posted in the portal saying, how do we apply the idea that the effects of all things are essential to themselves to the case of the fire that was made onto burn Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam?
The effects of everything is essential to themselves, and then what?
To the case of, basically trying to relate it to the case of the fire that was made to burn Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam.
I'm not sure if I understood the question, but basically when it comes to reward and punishment, we believe that there is a real relation. Maybe we don't call it essential, we call it causal relation between reward and punishment. Everything that we do is the cause for certain outcomes or effects. And this is real. Whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, those outcomes come. Those effects come. In the case of Ibrahim alayhi salam and those birds, because he wanted to know how Allah revives the dead, he said, رَبِّ أَرْنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Please show me how you revive the dead. He didn't say, please show me how the dead are revived. Because in that case, Allah could have said, okay, sit there or stand there and just watch. See what I do. But he wanted to see not only the revival, he wanted to see the reviving act of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى, not كَيْفِيَّةَ إِحْيَاءِ الْمَوْتَى, as Allah says. Therefore, what Allah did, Allah gave life to those birds through Ibrahim. So Ibrahim occurred in the chain of causality. It was through his words, through his call. ثُمَّ ادْعُهُنَّ يَأْتِينَكَ سَعْيًا. It was through his call that they received life again and they were revived. Of course, life comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Ibrahim occurred in this chain, in this hierarchy. So he became part of the complete cause. So I hope this is what the person who, sister or brother who asked the question, wanted. Ahsantum.